get a spicy one going here.
Get it going.
Crack 'em if you got 'em, son.
Crack 'em if you got 'em, son.
Crack 'em. Crack 'em if you got 'em, son.
Crack 'em if you got 'em.
Are we starting a music production studio? We might be.
We should be.
We're testing it out here.
Those were the first three crack'ems of the actual offseason, of the
Totally.
NFL offseason. Because as we know, Super Bowl 57, done. And it couldn't have went any better. We're going to talk a little Super Bowl. I know it's not Cowboys related, but it's Eagles related. And those mother effers got served, son.
And exactly. And I want to call us out before anyone else does. Yeah, we might have been saying we.
Oh,
We?
I was going to say that. I was going to say that. It was so funny. First quarter, it was, all right, Kansas City just has to beat Philadelphia. And then by the fourth quarter, it's like, all right, we got to stop these fuckers right now.
Yeah.
We got to stop the Eagles right now. Yeah, that was hilarious.
But I thought it was more of a we, as in the Cowboys nation, watching together.
Every Cowboys fan was a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
Hey,
on Sunday.
unless your name's Skip Bayless, who
Was he cheering for?
I mean, all week long he's been all about the Eagles and how technically, yes, it was a hold.
Sirianni's a clown. Guy's such a douchebag. You know what? You know who I give props to? Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts actually played a very good football game. At the start of the season, I thought Dak Prescott was a much better quarterback. I thought, well, minus his end of the game Hail Mary attempt, that was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
But Jalen Hurts had a great game. Nick Sirianni's a clown shoe. Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT. Travis Kelce is kind of cringy. But it was a great game as a football fan, and the Eagles losing, it couldn't have went any better.
I mean, I watched a clip that they posted on Instagram of Travis Kelce hyping up the crowd. Whatever. I think
that's
he's
fine,
funny.
but the fact that he plays off this underdog thing, you were the first overall seed in the AFC. You were picked by tons of people as being Super Bowl favorites. Who they're trying to play this me against the world. You were a 1.5 underdog, which basically means it was even.
Yeah.
But I guess whatever you
Okay.
have to do to get to
Motivate.
to motivate
Okay,
yourself,
so-
I guess you got to
Hey,
play me against the world. Then
Congratulations, Casey.
congrats, yeah, KC.
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes is getting into he's in Tom Brady territory to start off his career.
That's true.
To start off his career, he's
two Super Bowls, 2 MVPs.
three. Yeah, but three. He's been in the Super Bowl 3 times.
Yep.
He's won 2 of
I
them.
meant win.
Yeah, two Super Bowl MVPs. So he's
Okay.
on his way.
Okay, well, let's just get this out of the way. Outside of the fact that I got barbecue sauce all over the switching board.
What at
Are
the,
you moving on?
there?
Because I had
No,
one
no,
last.
we're talking about Super Bowl. So I just
At Super Bowl you did?
well, there's barbecue sauce all over this thing here, which is fine. Okay, so I
Hope it's
this
yours.
is the biggest. Obviously, the biggest conversation coming out of the Super Bowl was that last holding call and how the Philadelphia Eagles were robbed. So
Yeah.
I just want to know. I want to go around the room and I just want independent opinions. Actually, sorry, strike that. Cowboys CanFan will give possible independent subjective opinions on something, but I just want to know from you boys, what do you think? Was it a hold? What do you think should have happened there? Who wants to go first?
Well, it was a hold. I mean, the guy that Bradbury admitted to the holding call. What else do you want? Yeah, was it terrible timing? And could you have maybe not called it in a situation like that and had possibly overtime football game and not have the Kansas City Chiefs just bleed out the clock? Yeah, that would have been awesome, and it would have been a great end of the Super Bowl. But what are they just not supposed to call obvious penalties then because of that? No, you have to. You watch the replay. He tugged on the guy's jersey. It was in my mind it was a penalty.
Yeah, and I like that the NFL doesn't necessarily, maybe people argue this, I don't think so. I think they call it pretty even from preseason to Super Bowl, and I like that consistency. The NHL does lighten up in the playoffs, and it can give like certain teams, the way that they're built, an advantage when you start to lower what you're calling. So it was a hold, and if we're gonna nitpick plays, how far do you go back?
You
in
could
the
find
season?
just because it was at that terrible timing.
Terrible timing.
But you could have went back that fumble, the second fumble return for a touchdown.
Also,
that should have been a touchdown. They called that back. Like there's
Also-
so many things that you could have went and found.
And what do? I would say in that situation, if a guy's beating you in that play, you hold him.
Yeah.
You take the fucking PI.
And then at least
You got a chance.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he scores a TD.
and then you're fucked.
And then you're fucked.
My response is, if it was any other team, I'd maybe be like, yeah, they should have probably. I mean, they weren't calling. The refs, I thought, called a pretty decent game. There wasn't a lot of bullshit flags. It wasn't an aggressive hold, maybe not, but he did it a couple times. Yeah. And guess what? You got bit. You tried it, and that's what happened. And because it's the Eagles, it was a hold. It was a hold. It was a foul. Yeah,
well, and it was on third down too.
Yeah.
So they're kicking the field goal at that point. You're like, oh, they didn't get it, and then a flag. You're like, oh man, Eagles fans, balls just dropped when that happened.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, my butthole tightened when that pass went off.
How tight?
Oh, it went
pretty tight. It was pretty damn tight.
I'll ask one last thing to do with Super Bowl. We talked a little bit about it off air. Adam, how did you feel the Monday morning after Super Bowl?
I woke up Monday morning. It was 4:00. I didn't.
AM or PM?
It was AM. I didn't book the day off.
Oof, rookie.
Tried to. No, I mean, I was like, I'll be fine. I had a massive headache. Tried to rehydrate myself. Drank too much liquids too quickly, and I had to just Ralph. So I was struggling till about noon.
And then you felt good. You got your second wind.
Yeah. Then I got my second win. Had a workout later and felt good after that. But yeah, it's good.
Nice.
AJ, you were all right?
I was fine. I work from home though, so I don't really have to like go anywhere. I just I get up, I have my coffee, and it was. You know,
we were talking at like, I mean,
8 a.m.
we were on. I'm his client, so we were on a call at like 11:30.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I push it.
He says 8. You said 11:30.
Well, we'll talk on Slack.
Yeah.
I was hungover, but I was smart, and I booked Monday off, so I just laid around on the couch and watched YouTube all day.
Smart guy.
Brother Adrian was
hungover yesterday still.
Yep.
Okay, so what do we got? Cowboys news. Did you guys? I said that. What?
Well, do we want to go into a roundup with us, or do we want to bring in the guests?
We'll talk a bit more here.
Okay.
So I just saw a little bit. There's not much Cowboys news, so I'm just going to say something quick.
Yep.
Herm Edwards, and I don't know if this is a kind of just for TV, but he walked off the set of the ESPN show because they were talking about they were doing the power rankings post Super Bowl, and instead of doing the top 5 teams, they did the top 6, and they jumped right to the 6th team, which was the Cowboys. And Herm Edwards just acted like a giant baby and basically walked off set because he was sick of talking about the Cowboys, which I thought was kind of funny because I could see it. I could see if you weren't a fan, like if the Cowboys weren't your team. Because even going into the wild card, it felt like the only team that they were talking about, like all the main networks, it seemed like all they were talking about was the Bucks versus the Cowboys.
Right.
And even I was kind of getting sick of it. I was like, let's talk about some of the other shit.
Yeah.
So I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, I like when there's a story there, even if it's a fabrication. I hate when you're trying to shoehorn it. There are 31 other teams, but the value in doing a story or talking about the Cowboys, it just holds true. That there's so many people across, I guess, North America and the world, as we know.
Boys fans.
Yeah, who
Cowboys fans.
Yeah. What'd you say?
I said boys fans.
Boys fans. Yeah, and some of us are, okay? But there's just a lot of eyes who want to see, or a lot of ears and a lot of eyes who want to see and hear more talk about the Cowboys. And so the networks know that. It gets clicks.
And they roll with it.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring these guests on, shall we? So I'll introduce them. We got a couple guests on today. We have Deffy Talks Cowboys from Instagram, who has quite a big following on Instagram. He also writes for Blogging the Boys. And then we have a diehard Cowboys CanFan
alum.
Alum. Like he's been around. EJ's been around since as long as I can remember. We got EJ Savage coming on, and we're going to talk some Cowboys. We're going to talk some draft. We're going to talk some combine and some free agency stuff. Are the guys in the chat right now?
They should be live. They're muted, but how's it going, gentlemen?
Testing.
Oh, good. Hey, well.
Hang on, I think
they're just getting their lives sorted. So they'll pop in as
guys.
soon as
whenever you can, just jump
talking,
in.
yeah.
Just talk in, and we will join you.
What we're gonna be talking, I guess we'll get there. We'll hear what.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, there it is.
There we go. Hey, guess
there
what?
we go.
Hey, guess what, boys? It was my fault.
you had the mute.
Yeah. Anyways, my fault.
What's going on, man? How's it going?
It's been a while, dude. I'm good. How are you guys?
Yeah, no, we're great. How are you feeling after that Super Bowl?
Well, I mean, that felt like a massive weight off my shoulders. Oh my God. The Twitter would have been hell if Philly had won, man. Oh my God. I was on the Nick Bolton return touchdown. I was like, I fucking Gronk spiked my water bottle. I was so hyped.
I love it.
The old Gronk spike is a classic move. So that's obviously the voice of Defy Talks Cowboys from Instagram. Is EJ kicking around there yet or no, guys? Dad still got him muted?
No, I think he's connected.
All right, so Defy, what we're going to do, we're going to talk some draft today. We kind of compiled some names for the cornerback position and the wide receiver position.
Well, EJ
did, yeah. EJ kind of went through and he has a few topics that he wants to, or a few guys that he wants to bring up. We were going to kind of go through some film on some of these players, but I'm just going to ask you right off the get-go. I know we've talked a little bit about it in our DMs, but out of the cornerback class, because I think that's what we're going to start off with, who's someone or a couple guys that you have your eye on?
Well, I mean, I feel like the guy that everybody's talking about right now is Joey Porter Jr., obviously.
Right.
But if you were on Twitter and Instagram last year, you would remember Cowboys fans were in love with Sauce Gardner. Where did Sauce Gardner go? In the top 5.
Yep.
It happens every year. There's always at least one prospect that everyone falls in love with, and then everyone's heartbroken when the guy goes top 10. Like CJ Henderson, like I just said, Sauce Gardner. It happens every year.
Hey, love is something that can make you blind, okay?
Oh, yeah. No, I understand. Joey Porter is great. I love Joey Porter. But in terms of, like, realistic guys, I feel like the best corner that's going to be available, realistically speaking, is Cam Smith from South Carolina. I really like Cam Smith. He's the prototypical Dan Quinn corner. I mean, he's lengthy, he's physical, he's great against the run. So Dan Quinn's already drooling when I said lengthy and physical, you know?
Yeah, back to the Joey Porter thing. I think you're right. A lot of Cowboys fans right now do kind of have him in their mind, but as the time goes on, he's already moving up draft boards. A lot of the pages that I follow have him as like a top 15 prospect on the big board.
Yep.
So he's kind of, I think for us to get him, we'd have to have a pretty real, like he'd have to have something really bad happen from now towards the draft. Even Cam Smith, I've been watching some stuff on him. I actually like the way Cam Smith plays. He seems to play a little bit meaner than Joey Porter, so I kind of like that aspect of his game. But even Cam Smith could possibly be gone by the time we get to 26th.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, Cam Smith is like it's like CJ Henderson in 2020. Because everybody was thinking this guy would fall, and then the combine happened, and teams fell in love. And Cam Smith isn't like a physical traits guy, but I wouldn't be surprised if like the combine made NFL teams drool over him.
That's the one thing I was going to ask. And this goes for everyone here right now. How much do you think a combine helps a player? Do you think it can take that guy who's fringe first round and possibly vault him to a top 15 pick or top 20 pick?
Very easily. I mean, we saw what happened with Trayvon Walker, and I'm positive that if the combine, like if everything was going well in 2020 and COVID didn't happen, or 2021, excuse me, I'm like 99% sure that Micah Parsons would have gone in like the top 8 at least.
Yeah. If he wouldn't have had his last COVID year, if you want to call it, in college. EJ's in here now. EJ, welcome, buddy. How's it going?
What's up, guys? How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, man. We're just chatting a little bit about some corners. We'll get your opinion here pretty quick. But yeah, I think you're right there, Defy. If Micah would have played that final season prior to his NFL draft year, I don't think the Cowboys get him, and I think we miss out on 2 players with Micah and Patrick Surtain. Patrick Surtain, another corner that we thought we were going to get at, what was it, 10 we were drafting, and 10 or 11, and the Broncos snuck in and took him. So it's weird. These corner positions, I feel like positions like cornerback and wide receiver, which we're going to talk about today too, have probably the highest upside in the combine because a lot of these guys are so athletic. And with like for Cowboys situation, it's kind of like Byron Jones. Like he was a workout champ in the combine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So EJ.
So I was
sorry,
going to mention. Oh, my bad. I thought you were like leading on to me, and I kind of left you.
No, go for it. Go for it. Let's hear it.
I was gonna talk about Devin Witherspoon and Garrett Williams as well. So Garrett Williams is like he's like the Tariq Woolen of this draft class. Last year, I really wanted Tariq Woolen because he was all traits and he was like mid round. We wouldn't have to use like a super early pick on him. So that's Garrett Williams. He's from Syracuse. But Devin Witherspoon is a guy that I keep seeing getting mocked to us, and he might go higher than Joey Porter. Like he's getting a lot of hype right now. So
Yep.
I don't
Yeah,
see
I got
any
Devin
guys in
as-
26.
I've got Devin as my number one corner.
Well, EJ, why don't we? Because what we wanted to do is EJ went through. We got about 15 cornerbacks and 15 wide receivers, and what we want to do is kind of look at realistic picks for us, say through 1 to 7. If we have time, we can go through them all, but let's see how this conversation goes. But EJ, if you want to just take us through, maybe. I know there was a couple names you mentioned, Defy, in here that EJ has on his list as well. If you want to go through and just say anyone you think is not going to be available or potentially available for the Cowboys,
Yeah.
and then we can just roll through your list, say 1 through 7, and the next 1 through 7, the plausible 1 through 7, and then move on to wide receivers. If we have time to talk about everyone, we will.
For sure. So my number one guy that I had in the cornerbacks for this class is Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Don't think he's realistic. The next guy would be Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. Don't think he's realistic. He's probably a top 15 guy. And then Joey Porter Jr., like Defy was saying, I don't think that he's going to be there. My fourth guy, though, I think he said he liked Cam Smith as his fourth maybe. I actually liked Emmanuel Forbes a little bit better. Has a lot of ball skills, lengthy competitive corner, nice ball skills, willingness to come up, make tackles on the edges, has good speed, great hands for a DB at the next level, physical player, 6 foot, 180, fluid hips. And I just liked a lot of what he did. Got interceptions. I think he was actually the most productive DB as far as ball production in this class. And then like Defy was saying with Cam Smith, South Carolina guy, kind of reminds you a little bit of a JC Horn. Consistent. He's a leader on that team. Definitely has good football IQ. Nice route recognition. He's not afraid to make big tackles, come up and hit dudes. Has ball skills too. A little bit older at 23 years old.
Oh, get that out of here. That's too old. Get out of here.
Get Grandpa. Get
23
Grandpa.
Why don't we just draft a senior? When you say 23, that is actually quite old for a college prospect.
Means he's coming in 24 into the NFL.
One thing I will say about Emmanuel Forbes before we get too far away from him, the guy had 3 touchdowns. 2022 season, 6 interceptions, 6 pass defense, 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, if you're going to pair a guy on another ball hawk type corner with Trevon Diggs, obviously this guy has his eye for the football. Like, obviously he's doing something better than any other CB in college football right now.
And I love the jerseys that he's wearing. This is what I'm going to be basing my draft picks off of. Is a lot of
Just
it's,
pure jersey?
well, 50%. 50% is going to come from the look. Okay.
You ain't wrong. Crack him if you
Crack
got
me
him.
up.
Don't forget
Got
name.
him.
Don't forget name.
Who's that, sorry?
I was saying you can't forget. Like he was saying, he's going off of looks, but you can't forget that some guys have NFL names.
Right.
True. I think Emmanuel
true.
Forbes. I'm thinking Forbes list. I'm thinking very prestigious. So
Yeah.
I like that.
okay, sorry.
So then
Forbes is a I'm sorry.
No,
Go
so
ahead.
you had Emmanuel Forbes. I just wanted to touch on his touchdowns because that kind of really popped out at me. And then you were also talking the 23-year-old guy. Who was that?
That's Cam Smith out of South Carolina.
Okay, and I was watching a little bit when we were finding some clips of players. I said this to Defy. Cam Smith, he kind of seems to be gritty. Like he seems to be, which is another thing I would like to pair with Trevon Diggs. Like I want to have kind of a Jalen Ramsey type guy. You know, I want someone to run out to the right side of the field and not just have an easy 5 yards. I want a cornerback to at least challenge him, right? And it seems like Cam Smith can kind of be that guy.
Cam Smith is one of those guys that plays with a lot of confidence, and I think that's needed at the DB position. And he hates getting beat. You can tell it by his body language. He doesn't want to get beats. He wants to make plays. So Even at the 23 years old, I really do like him.
Do you think it's realistic that Cam Smith is there at 26?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. The only three guys I think aren't going to be there are the top three that I named: Witherspoon, Gonzalez, and then Joey Porter
I like that.
Jr.
If 4 cornerbacks go before 26, we're just fucking cursed. 'Cause, like, that's unbelievable.
This guy, Cam
Yeah.
Smith, I believe that's who I'm looking at right here. Let me just put it. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, he's a hard hitter. I like his number 9 as well. It looks good on him. And he's hitting a lot of guys behind the line.
Look at that. See on that highlight right there. That's very Jalen Ramsey-esque. Like he's attacking. He's not sitting back. He's maybe not at the same size as Ramsey, but he definitely plays with a little bit of fire.
And cornerbacks, I think we could use that toughness. Just a tough player out there, you know.
Even for just Trevon Diggs to be like, all right, I gotta up my aggressiveness on the tackling part of this. I think a little bit.
Yeah. Cam Smith was one of those players I didn't necessarily feel like he was really, really good in press man. He played good off man and zone scheme, so I don't know if he is exactly what the Cowboys want. But I liked him a lot. He's my number 5.
I'm gonna ask you.
I actually agree with that. My bad. But I just wanted to chime in real fast. I agree that he's obviously not the greatest man corner in the world. So I was looking at the Cowboys stats, and we actually ran man this year or zone this year 70% of the time. Like that was the highest in the league type of shit.
Wow.
So I don't like compared to 2021 when we ran it 55% of the time.
Yep.
That was a 15% jump. Like I think Dan Quinn would be fine with that.
Yeah, that's
Well, Duffy,
that's high.
do you think that was a result of losing Jordan Lewis and Anthony Brown, or do you think that was a result of just a different play scheme from Dan Quinn seeing stuff on film?
That's the thing. It's a mix of both because obviously losing Jordan Lewis pretty early in the year hurts. But I mean, Anthony Brown was like, if you look at the percentages among cornerbacks that played at least 20% of snaps, he was the highest. Like he had the highest zone percentage out of any other cornerback in the league.
Wow,
So
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you
me
guys with Anthony Brown, if we do target a corner in the first round, is that kind of the writing on the wall for Anthony Brown, or do we? I'm a firm believer. Whoever you take in the first round, you're taking for them to start.
I think he's a free agent, anyways. Is he not?
Yeah.
he is.
Okay, so last year was the last year that they could cut him, and he'd be.
Yep.
So do we bring him back then?
So I think the Cowboys always do the thing before the draft where they make sure that every position is filled just in case we don't get the guy.
Yep.
So I could see him coming back for sure. If he does, then I think that we're going to roll with not taking a corner in the first round. But if we don't bring him back, I think corner is definitely in play in the first round. I think that we also hit the corner at least once in this draft, regardless of what round. For sure.
I think no matter what, if it's not in the first, it's got to be in the top 3. I know a lot of people haven't talked about corner. A lot of people are saying wide receiver, defensive interior, linebacker. Just seeing our depth get whittled away kind of at the end of the year, and I just having to watch Boss Man Fat start. I do not want that to happen again. I really believe in between day 1 or 2, we need to take a corner. So even if it's in the set, I feel like cornerback's pretty deep in this draft. There seems to be like maybe some of the guys later on in the draft aren't exactly polished, but there's a lot of it seems like a lot of the cornerbacks in this draft are tall, rangy guys, which I feel like you get Dan Quinn involved with those guys for a year or 2, and they could end up being starters.
We don't have 2 years.
Yep.
So, EJ, who's next on the old
Crack
if you got him? Who's next on that list?
Next guy that I had on my list was Eli Ricks out of Alabama. This dude's 6'2", 190, and he's only 21 years old. Played a little bit at LSU, 2 years at LSU, and then transferred, I believe, to Alabama this past year.
Bama.
He's got ball skills.
Ooh.
He was a 5-star recruit out of IMG Academy. He's got good technique.
Great hair.
Sometimes he can get grabby down the field if he feels like he's been beat. But overall, he plays on his toes, gets out of his breaks quickly. He's fast. I wouldn't call him like elite, crazy fast or anything like that, but he's competitive. and he's from Bama, so I expect him to be a well-coached guy.
He gets grabby kind of like AJ after 6 beers.
Hey, hey, there's a time and a place. Okay.
So so LSU, he transferred over. I'm looking at his 2022 season. I don't know if it's just because I'm just on this draft network website. It's saying he's getting for his stats 0, 0, 0s down the board, or only 8 tackles for his season. I don't know if that's correct or not.
For his freshman season, maybe?
Possibly, maybe. So he transferred, because how's it work in college now? I know before you had to sit out a year. You don't have to do that anymore, do you? Like when you transfer over, because he transferred from LSU to Bama. So did he have to sit out a season, or is it you can basically go the following year?
I don't believe so.
So
I don't believe so. I mean, he's 21, so
right.
I don't expect him to set out an entire season because he's younger than a lot of the guys on the list. But I know that he played as a true freshman for LSU.
Right.
Started and had like 5 interceptions that season or something. This is just off the top of my head. I can't remember exactly, but so yeah, I mean, if I remember right, he didn't play immediately at Alabama. It took him a few games.
Gotcha.
To get in there, but yeah, I really just liked him as far as traits wise. He's 6'2", I think is what I said. Let me flip my page back around. 6'2", 190. Yeah, so he's got traits, and he's got that Alabama coaching and from Nick Saban, and I think that he's got natural instincts for the position. So
right.
I have his full stats pulled up. So he had 12 tackles last year.
Okay.
Or this previous season, he had 3 stops. He only missed 2 tackles. Okay, that's not bad.
No, that's pretty good.
He was all season. He was targeted 19 times. He only allowed 6 catches for 77 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, but 5 pass breakups.
That's all right.
Yep.
We'll take that.
Ridiculous.
So where's he slotted? Because I got him on this big board. They're saying he's the, let's see here.
He's a day 2 guy, second, third round.
They're saying on here, where the fuck was he? Yeah, 204. They have him on the board on here. So that's
hell no.
You think you think he's up there more?
I think he's a top 50 pick probably.
Oh wow. So Draft Network, what are you doing?
You'll see with a lot of these guys that have the traits at the corner position that they'll get pushed up the board a lot. But at the same time, this is a lengthy DB class that has a lot of length, height. The weight, these guys are a little bit on the slender side, but I think this guy's been playing corner since, high school. He's a 5-star recruit. He has that pedigree where you're going to take a chance on him early because he's been through programs, a high school program at IMG Academy that's premier, then LSU premier, then Alabama. I mean, this guy's got the making to be a really good.
Just get him on the Barry Bonds weight program, and we'll get him juiced up. I got a question for you guys about 2 players that I've kind of been looking at. Just as I've been kind of compiling some stuff, knowing we were going to talk about this, the 2 guys that I've looked at that are going to be later day picks, and they're kind of the opposite of type players, are DJ Turner and Jalen Jones. I like them for 2 different reasons. Jones seemed like he was, again, a smash mouth type player, and then DJ Turner, I think, is probably the fastest corner in the draft. So I like those guys for different reasons, but have you got to look at those guys at all?
Yes, I have. DJ he's out of Michigan. He's 6 foot 189, 22 years old. He's my number 8 ranked corner. And then I wasn't as high on Jalen Jones, surprisingly. I actually kind of would like to see him at safety maybe because he's 6'2", 205, only 20 years old. But he's a hard hitter. And I think that he plays better with things in front of him. So I think that he might transition better at safety. But he's still young. You have that time to get him in your system and find out what he's best at.
They were saying DJ Turner's possibly a sub 4-3 guy, like possibly 4-2.
Yeah.
We could use a burner like that on the defense.
Hey, man.
I think just on my notes, he reportedly ran like a 4.28 out of a 2-point stance.
That's insane.
So crazy. And then he had a 6.29 3-cone. So yeah, he's got elite speed. I didn't see the elite speed on tape as much as I'd like to have. But yeah, he's got extremely elite traits.
Well, I'm doing a 4.4 out of a 1-point stance. So I don't know. We can debate that all day, but
I'm doing a 4.4 in a potato sack.
No, I like the idea of a guy who has versatility in that secondary and because I like what we're seeing in Bland. I think Wright has had those flashes of like potential.
Well, he's that big body type guy, right?
Right. And so I don't know. It would be interesting to have a guy who can kind of play maybe a little back and forth in those positions if that works out.
And I think to hop in there, I think one of the biggest things that I want from this year's draft, specifically with DQ staying on for another season, it's like, what does he want to complement that defense? So obviously we're talking about guys that we like. And I like what you said there, EJ, about taking a CB from college and possibly moving them over to a safety if you see those traits that would fit, DQ's schemes. So
just a big body hitter.
Yeah. That dude can hit some guys. So, and I think that he even played a little bit of safety in high school. So
you would not want to go against any of these dudes in high school. I imagine any of these dudes that we were talking about. You were saying a few of them are 5-star recruits, and now most of them are going to be top. Would you say top 100 picks in the NFL? They're all going to be elite athletes.
What's crazy is my number one DB was a 0-star recruit.
Really?
He went to a community college, didn't start playing football until his junior year of high school.
Is that Witherspoon?
But this is Devin Witherspoon. So, and then his last 2 seasons, not this 2022 season, but the last 2, he was just okay. He was just a cornerback, but this past year, he was truly elite. He only gave up 200 yards all season, and that's playing, pretty good talent in the Big Ten.
Well, Witherspoon's lighting some motherfuckers up on the screen. He laid, I don't know who he hit on that little screen pass, but he just absolutely, Reggie Bush hit him. Like, just absolutely killed him. So anyone that brings the heat
he's a nice player.
But we won't be getting him, though. He's going to be going, what do you guys figure?
Well, top 10. He's going to go top 10 or top 15. I think like the Raiders or some shit will get him. Or also, I just want to interject real quick because I wanted to bring up, because earlier we said we would get a cornerback in the first 3 rounds at least.
Yep.
And I'm very hesitant about getting a cornerback in the first round, even though it's obviously like the smart thing to do. But like, unless we are in love with whoever is available at 26, then I think you can like chill and take BPA. Because this cornerback class is deep as hell.
Yep.
So we don't have to force a cornerback in the first, even the second round.
No, definitely. Which is funny. Is funny. It kind of that goes to. I'm gonna kind of go off script here because that's what we do on the CanFan podcast. That makes me think of like if Robinson's there at 26, Bijan Robinson at 26, and we don't need a running back. Do you take him? Because we're kind of, you know what I mean?
It's the same situation because this running back class is so incredibly
it's the exact same
too.
thing. Like there's so many good running backs that you could get possibly even in the 5th round, right? Like there's literally the running back class. I was watching a bunch of stuff on them and they all just seem like studs. Like I feel like between the 1st round guys and the 5th round guys, that's not as crazy as like an edge rusher that's in the 1st round and an edge rusher that's in the 5th round.
Exactly.
So I'm starting. I was at the point I was saying to the guys a couple weeks ago that if Robinson was on the board at 26, we had to take him. But now I'm kind of like, I don't know. There's just so many other positions that we could use than a running back who can almost look at Kansas City. They've just basically plugged and played running backs for the last 6 or 7 years.
I asked,
the thing is, Bijan is the exception type shit. Sorry for interrupting.
No, go for it.
Go, my bad.
Go for it.
I was just saying like it's one of those things where like, okay, if you're the Giants picking in the top 3, then yeah, you're not going to fucking draft Saquon Barkley. And if you do, that's a bad pick. But if you're a contending football team trying to get put over the top and your offense, especially your rushing attack, has consistently been an issue down the stretch the previous 2 years, and then your 2 playoff losses have disappeared completely, then if I don't want to say generational talent and throw that word around, but if a blue chip prospect is available at 26 at running back, then it's hard even with how good the running back class is.
Yeah.
So I got, and I know Deffy, and Deffy, it's all right if you cut Alex off because we all do.
My bad, Alex.
Hazy, I want to get
Most
some.
of the time, if the problem is if I get cut off,
He can't remember.
that's gone.
It's gone.
That question is gone.
Hey, what are you? Are you vaped right out right now? Are you stoned as fuck?
I'm feeling
or what?
good.
You're
I'm
feeling
good,
good,
but I'm not past vape.
Okay, so
yet.
I got a question for all 5 of us in here.
Okay.
I'm glad I can do some quick math.
Nice counting.
Hazy in the
you're
chat
asking
says,
yourself.
yeah. Hazy in the chat is saying the only class that isn't deep in is wide receiver, which should be that priority going into the draft.
I don't know. I think from what I've heard wide receivers pretty deep too.
Here's the thing: wide
would've-
receiver isn't as deep as it was last year because you're not going to get a wide receiver 1 in the second round,
Right.
unless you gamble with a guy like Kayshon Boutte, and we'll get into that later.
Yeah,
but
let's. I'd say let's just take that question. Let's put it in our pocket for a minute.
Wrap it up, put it back in there.
Okay.
Well,
And get back.
we'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that, absolutely. And EJ, where were we on the list? I think we ended with DJ Turner.
Well,
or
real
was no
quick,
Anth brought that
Yeah,
up.
I asked about DJ Turner and Jalen Jones, but we still got some guys. So who else do you got?
real quick, just to hedge back a little bit to this point.
Absolutely.
Like Duffy with the cornerbacks taken in the first 3 rounds. I really want to go offensive heavily because I trust the defensive coaches to get the best out of lesser players.
Right.
Our offensive coaches, I don't know that they can do that. So I want to get the high grade talent wise to get in there and hopefully push us over the top. But anyways, back to this list. Number 7 on my list was Deonte Banks. He was a guy that was mocked by, I believe, Bucky Brooks of the Cowboys at 26. He's good. I have him as a day 2 guy. Comfortable using 1 or 2 hand punches lines at the line of scrimmage, mirrors receivers, releases, and breaks very well. Gets PUBs, good tackler, but he doesn't get interceptions. He's kind of like a Byron Jones kind of guy. He just needs more ball production.
Sorry, EJ,
And then
who is
he
this?
gets a little bit of grabby.
Banks.
Deonte Banks out of Maryland.
AJ just has all the. AJ has all the.
I had the wrong clip going, and I just need to make sure I got the right ones.
because you
No
know
worries, yeah.
we'd be getting teared apart by draft analysts here. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, PFF has him ranked as the ninth cornerback, and yeah, like you said, day 2 pick. He's play style press zone corner.
He looks thick. Looks like he's a bit of a thick boy. I like that.
He's a 6'2", 205.
Ooh.
For whatever reason, I could not find this dude's age. I was creeping his Twitter page, everything. I could not find it. I know that he's born on March 3rd, but other than that, I don't know when.
You're not-
So I have no idea.
Did you drop into his DMs and just say, "Hey, ASL"?
I was thinking about that, but his last post was like 2 months ago, and I was like, he probably won't reply.
Hey, it's
He's like, asshole. What the
no,
fuck's
no,
asshole?
it's 2023. We're not allowed asking somebody their age. Okay?
No,
I'm
no,
sorry.
you can't.
Okay,
You'll
I'm
get-
sorry.
You'll get in hot water there. Definitely hot water.
Okay, well, either way, he's probably within the range of anywhere from 13 to 25.
That would be a beast.
Yeah, I think
13-year-old.
I think this guy is gonna get pushed up the boards. I guess you were talking about 13 to 25 in age. I thought you were talking about in pick numbers.
Hey, it could be. I don't know. What were you saying though? There's a correlation there.
Well, they're saying day
No,
2.
I was just
They're saying day 2
I was
for
just
him.
gonna say. Sorry, go ahead, Ant.
They're just saying day 2 for him. So like when they say PFF, like, come on, give me early day 2, give me late day 2, like day
Yeah,
2.
get your
That's
shit
very
together, PFF.
that's very broad.
Day
Like,
2 is pretty easy.
give me
day 2.
give me yeah. It says initial round projection day 2. Like, come on, PFF.
You
This
lazy
is
bums.
this is your whole job.
I
You
have
get
him.
at least give me a round.
I have him a late 2, early 3rd.
Okay, so we could pick him up at 58. You think?
Yeah, definitely second round, I believe.
I like it.
But I mean, if the guys in the actual industry, the media is saying he's going to go first round, you might want to listen to those guys because they got the inside knowledge. So,
Yeah.
but that's just what I have him graded as for my grades. Then I got DJ Turner. We talked a little bit about him. He's an elite athlete.
Turner the burner.
Has one of the lowest
that.
lowest QB ratings when targeted in his class over the past 3 years. So that's good. A little bit of the weaknesses for me was he didn't always take the best angles for tackles and out-muscled in the run game. Doesn't diagnose quick enough to jump on the blocks and get around them. He's just, I don't know.
He just gets
so he's
Trevon
not
Diggs
really-
out of. He just gets Trevon Diggs out of the way.
Definitely isn't a plus in the run game. That's one thing I have to say about him.
And I gotta say, I don't like him. I don't like him for that reason. And number two, I think this team has only room for one afterburner, and I don't think he can come in and.
I'm a firm believer that if you any defensive player we take and they tried doing it last year, I want the fucking attitude. I want the guy that's gonna punch you in the maybe not actually punch you in the mouth, but I want the guy that's gonna be attacking and not the guy that's sitting back. So
they did a great job of it last year.
They
like,
did.
Perfect job, I would say.
They definitely drafted some dude. Like you could tell the difference between even crack if you got him. The defense even against San Fran, the defense wasn't the issue, right? Like the defense possibly in 2021 when we played against San Fran, yeah, we got a bit pushed around. Then we we drafted a bunch of guys, had a couple dudes.
I think it was the O-line.
Yeah, the O-line, exactly. So I just want to see anyone that we draft again. I hope they stick to that toughness aspect to it.
Burp.
Now,
And
the
Turner
next guy on my
ain't
list-
that guy.
He ain't that guy.
Sorry, the next guy on my list was a lot of people before the season started had him as their number one corner, and that's Keely Ringo out of Georgia.
Fucking
That's
sweet name.
Now that name right there has
Speaking
got
of
me.
names, that's the name.
If I'm
yeah.
Jerry Jones and I'm salting the Egg McMuffin in my office, that's getting my head tilt. I'm tilting my head. Huh? What
So
did
this
you just-
guy is
Excuse me. What the hell did you just say to me?
Keely Jones.
Keely Ringo. I like it. Let's go have a look.
he does kind of have a name for Dallas. You know?
It's the name I
Um,
would make my player in.
It's an auto-generate. It's an
Like,
auto-generated
it's the auto-
name.
yeah.
It pops up and you're like, "There's no fucking way there's someone named that." Like,
I
that's
love
a
it.
sweet name.
Yeah.
Where was he? Where did he play?
Kelly.
Georgia.
Georgia. Oh, so he's obviously he's going to be a very dominant player. Feels like everyone that comes out of Georgia is just an absolute beast.
Sorry. So
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I think that at number 9, I have him mostly here at number 9 for traits because he's 6'2", 210, and he's only 20 years old. So he's got a lot of room to grow.
Wow.
I mean, he's big. Like you can tell by just the tape right there
He
running.
looks like
Oh,
a
man.
fucking
he's
running
big.
back.
Yeah, he looks
like a fucking
beast.
running back.
Yeah. So he's got all the traits to be elite at the next level. I just felt like he was in panic mode a little bit too much. Man coverage is an area of concern against receivers at the next level. I think Marvin Harrison shredded this dude. Doesn't have the smoothest back pedal. His 2021 tape was better than the 2022 tape, but also Georgia's defensive line 2021 was crazy dominant, so that
Right.
helps the back end. He has a lot of raw talent. I think NFL coaching can get the best out of him and help him understand leverage and technique and how to, squeeze receivers down the sideline, make windows harder for over the top deep bombs and stuff like that. I think that once he gets a little bit more nuanced, he could be one of the better corners in the out of this class. But he's super young, he's super raw, and just based off the grade right now today, he is the number 9th ranked guy.
Man,
so,
he just does not look like a corner. He's
Yeah.
he's
Physically.
Speaking of that, ironically enough, I was going to mention he doesn't look like a corner because I've seen a lot of people say that he should play safety because he has very good instincts and like you said, he's not a very good man corner, but he's he's great in zone. So similar to like Jalen Jones, who EJ was talking about earlier, I could see him more as a safety at the next level if you don't want to spend
so much better with stuff in front of him than he does when he has to turn his back to the quarterback. That's where he gets really in trouble. He doesn't trust his technique. He gets panicked, gets handsy down the field. And that's why I didn't love him as much as the other guys.
Well, even looking at most of the plays he's making, it always seems like he's just a little bit behind, and it's almost just a bad throw that he's like. Watch his pick here. It's almost like he gets the interception, but that's just a really shitty throw.
Well, get him. That's why you get him over to safety. If he can't keep up with the receivers, get him to safety.
He already looks like a safety.
Get him into the safety position and get his jersey on my back, please.
That's the problem too is I would not draft him where he's gonna go because EJ has him at number 9, which is extremely that's probably where I would have him as well. But that dude's gonna go top 50 pretty easily,
Yep.
top 40.
I think one of the mistakes a lot of the scouts in the NFL get into the habit of doing is they have somebody projected because they watch these guys way before anybody else watches them, and so they're projecting already from 2 seasons ago,
Right.
and they don't want their projection to be wrong. They've been typing this guy up, blah 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 blah, and so I think that he is going to go a lot higher than I would draft him. I'd be comfortable drafting him if you told me, like, hey, we're gonna keep it easy for this guy. This guy's gonna do this. He's just gonna be a boundary corner on the left side. Only play mostly zone schemes. If we wanted to just really create lengthy corners like Dan Quinn likes, I would be comfortable in the second round if they had a plan for him because I trust Dan Quinn. But first round is way too rich for me.
And you think is there a possibility that he even go? He just, to me, just watching him.
Hell no.
Yeah, he just doesn't, like, just watching the other guys I've watched. Like, he just doesn't have that. Like, we're seeing. I don't know if you guys are seeing this right now, but you're seeing Porter here. He just looks like a cornerback to me, right? The other guy just.
Yep.
This is Ringo.
Oh, is this Ringo?
This is
Ringo, baby.
I think.
No, that's Porter.
No, that's
No,
Porter.
that's Joey.
Yeah, that's Porter.
Joey.
Hey, guess what? You fucked us, Alex.
No,
because
because
you
it
fucked the
finished and
production.
then it flipped and then it went back to the first one. Guys,
It's okay.
it is Porter.
I have a question though. So if you have him ranked like 9th in regards to, like, say we're saying top 100 picks or whatever, where would that put a guy on a bit like a big board? So 9th in your rankings, what would that put him at? Like, would that put him at like 60, 65, 70 overall, or what? Where does that like
in my rankings? Well, here's the thing: is I haven't watched all the position groups. I'm hearing that he has top 100 talent, but that's the thing: is a lot of the big boards stack up based on projections and the traits that they have, like an edge rushers that are twitchy. They have the bend around the edge. They get catapulted up people's draft boards because they have those things, but they don't have the coaching and the backing to get that out of them. With corners, a lot of the time, they're looking for the guys that can play outside boundary corner. You can leave them on an island. They have the makeup speed to make up if they do get burned. Because with corner, it's so hard to diagnose each play and move with the receiver and mirror them. That you need those elite traits to actually catch up, to make up for it. You need the length to get your arm across and make pass defenses, stuff like that. So that's why you see a lot of these guys get pushed up the draft board. I would not have them in my top 100 probably. But honestly, in my rankings, I probably have him a little bit higher than I actually like, but it's kind of like one of those things. I'm hearing that he's this, and I don't see it, but it's a juggling act. So,
well, and how much does it get so you have these 10 guys, but the combine, I mean, we were saying the combine can make or break some guys higher up. Like,
he'll be fast at the combine. He has good speed, everything. So
like, it's fun to do this and talk about it in February, but a lot of stuff starts taking shape. And once you figure out what teams are doing with some of their other guys, right? Like, we're at such the early stage of the draft talk, but it's good to start getting some names on some faces that we otherwise, for us three, we would have no idea who a bunch of them are, right?
For us, this is also partially educational.
It is, yeah.
Because I love the idea of college football. I just don't never watch it. So,
because we didn't grow up that way. We didn't grow up with college football on Saturdays ingrained into.
I wish we did though.
Oh yeah, I would love.
But we're
shitty.
But we're diehard Sea Dragon XFL fans.
Before we hop over to wide receiver, EJ, is there anyone else or Deffy? Yeah, is there anyone else that you guys want to bring up?
Yes.
I'm surprised you haven't brought up Garrett Williams.
I thought you did.
Mention him a little bit earlier.
Just tiny bit.
He's my number 10, and really the only reason why I don't have him as up high as the other guys is he's kind of a tweener, not super big, not super small, in that 6 foot, 189, 22 years old, not elite speed, not slow. I like him as a prospect. He's a good prospect. He just doesn't have the super elite traits for me to push him up higher, but I really do like this guy.
He also had a season-ending injury too.
Yeah,
so.
ACL injury in
That's
2020.
true. Yep.
Or 2022, sorry. His 2022 campaign was cut short after 7 games due to a season-ending ACL injury, which, I mean, a guy like that could almost work out for a team, or it could really
take an open box, take an open box product, you know?
Well, it depends. I mean, it could end up working out very well for you, or it could, I mean, a team could get a steal on this guy if he ends up coming back to his pre-injury form.
I think one thing that irritated me a little bit about Williams is that he was a little bit too willing to give up the routes underneath and let the QBs kind of get into rhythm, which I don't like. I'd rather you play up and shut down that mid to intermediate part of the field and the underneath stuff, and make them make throws that are hard and difficult where you have your safeties over the top.
So but 7 games in, sorry, EJ, where would that put his injury at? 7 games in, that would be what, November, in like early November?
I believe, I mean, he got a combine invite, I believe.
Oh, wow.
So he should be at least there getting measurements and stuff like that. I don't know how far along he is in recovery or anything like that, but one other guy, unless Duffy wants to talk about him a little bit.
No, I'm good. You can go ahead.
The last guy, I just wanted to mention this guy because he's not going to be a guy that the Cowboys draft just because he's only 5'7", 175.
Fuck him then. Next. No, just kidding.
No, wait. This guy, I just want to mention him. Travius Hodges Tomlinson.
TCU.
TCU.
TCU product.
You know the last name because LT is his uncle.
Yep.
Oh, really? Hey.
But this guy, so LaDainian Tomlinson is his uncle. This dude's twitched up, 4.3 speed, 41-inch vertical at 5'7", 175. Plays above the rim. Super, like, he leaves everything on the field. Not afraid to back down at any receiver. They'll leave him on the island at only 5'7". Crazy. But I just want to mention him. He is a little bit handsy, but I actually really, really would like him as just a slot corner if we could get him. But I think he's going to go higher than that. So
5'7", I think you got to keep him there at the slot at 5'7".
Yeah, what were
we're
you saying?
going to have Jordan Lewis coming back, and Deron Bland obviously was really good. So I don't think, like, I would love him, but I doubt it. The Cowboys are just weird. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're coming into next year, like you said, with Deron Bland and Jordan Lewis being back from injury, our slot's looking pretty good. I'm still worried about our outside, our CB2, but the slot, I'm feeling pretty confident with our slot cornerbacks right now.
Exactly. Hey, let's go ahead and get moved on to the wide receivers if you guys are ready.
Yeah, I just have I like what it kind of comes down here to with the draft as well is it comes down to what teams are taking. So there could be that surprise cornerback pick at number 4, for example, and okay, now teams know, shoot, we better pick the guy that we're thinking of now as well.
It's like when the first kicker goes in fantasy football. Oh fuck!
Oh, yeah.
I better take a kicker now.
But so I wonder, like, and maybe these two positions are, like you guys already mentioned, they're pretty deep. Is there like a weight? And I guess you might probably already answered cornerback and wide receiver are deep. I'm just wondering, is there like a really thin position out there for this draft?
Quarterbacks after the first, like, what is there, a couple that are going in the first, but I don't feel like you don't feel the hype around the quarterbacks compared to what it sometimes is like.
I like some of these. I
will say I think wide receiver is pretty thin in terms of like what the Cowboys need specifically. It's very this class is very top heavy.
I think that the wide receivers are thin at the actual prototypical X wide receivers. There's a lot of really like good wide receivers, but they transition more to the slot
guys. Yeah.
Okay, well let's hop into that. Well, who are the wide receivers? And let's just go through them a little slower, but we won't spend so much time on them. The guys who you don't think the Cowboys are gonna be able to draft, and then we can kind of talk about everyone who is in the latter.
I think realistically, any of these guys could be there at 6.
All right, let's start.
No. Quentin Johnston is not going to make it to 26, bro. Like, that's crazy.
Who was that?
Quentin Johnston, wide receiver out of TCU. There's no shot. He's like he's like all traits.
Just off
basically.
measurables.
He's gonna,
Yeah.
he's gonna go top 10, I think. But,
Who do you think's going to take him?
Off measurables, definitely, I could see that.
And also, like I feel like Addison's gonna be the second guy to go off too. But I think outside of those two, like guys like JSN is very possible. I saw something on Twitter the other day about how like there's a chance he doesn't even go in the first round, which like that is if we pass on JSN in the first, I will. Oh my God, I don't even know what I would do.
He's already been like he came out saying that he would love to play for the Cowboys because he was a Cowboys fan. I mean, you always hear this from almost every. Or it seems like almost everyone was a Cowboys fan, which I'm fine with. If you end up getting drafted for the Cowboys and you were a fan of them as a kid, I think that's even better. But you always hear every player seems to be a Cowboys fan when they were kids.
So, Deffy, did you have a top 5 that you want to roll through real quick, or?
You can go ahead. I don't have like a specific like top 5 lists yet. Like I'm still looking through guys right now. But I will say first. If you couldn't tell earlier, I love Kayshon Boutte. I love him. I think I would take him in the first round depending on how the board shakes out.
Really?
And I know that's very bold, but I think I would do it.
Why?
Because it's just like I know the risk is so unbelievably high, but the craziest part about how like I just said, the risk is so high. The crazy part, the reward is even higher than the risk. Like I do not care. I got the same shit when I was banging the table for Micah Parsons. Oh, but the risk, he can't read. He's an off-ball linebacker. You can't take him in the top 10 and all kinds of shit. I do not care. I don't. Now, obviously, Kayshon's issues are off the field compared to Micah Parsons having some off the field issues and like not being able to like he couldn't handle motion in college, for example. Like Ohio State carved them up whenever they went against them. But anyways, Kayshon, all of his issues are things that are like if he's put in a situation like a controlled environment, he will be just fine. I promise.
Looks like he's got some wheels.
I just want to know when you were banging the table, did you use protection?
Absolutely.
Good man. That's a smart man right there.
So for reference on Kayshon Boutte or Booty or however you say it, I have him ranked number 11 on
my list. Here's the thing, Kayshon.
Honeymoon is over.
I have absolutely no problem with it because all of me and my buddy were talking about it the other day. He's the one that put me on to Kayshon because it took me a little bit to like actually look into Kayshon because like I was gonna just stay away, but he's not identical to George Pickens, but they're in very very similar situations where people either have him as a top 3 receiver on their board or bottom 5 type shit. Like Kayshon could either if he pans out and you draft him in the first round, teams in the top 20 will be like, why didn't we take him? And shit like that. But if he doesn't pan out, he could be the worst pick in the draft and be out of the league in 2 years.
Very polarizing.
So it's very risky.
Well, here's the thing. If I hear somebody have so much passion for one fucking player, like I'm already bought in. I'm buying a Ringo jersey and I'm buying a Booty jersey.
You're a booty boy.
I'm a booty boy.
Man, I become a booty boy too. Just
you guys are booty boys.
We're bandwagon booty boys. You know what I mean? Like fucking.
We need Kayshon fans in the booty train right now.
We need Kayshon.
I don't know. I'm siding with
Kayshon.
EJ's got 10 guys ahead of him. I don't like the. I don't like the polar. It seems a little risky. If there's possibly 11 guys ahead of him, and I'm just looking at a couple lists here, like it looks like he's going to possibly could be available for us in the second. So.
Oh yeah. He will probably be there, but in terms of how the board shakes out and who you like, that there's like if there's not a cornerback you like and whatever receivers you want are gone, because it's very possible guys like Zay Flowers are gone by 26. A lot of people are like, for the longest time, everybody's like, oh, we can get Zay Flowers in the 3rd or 4th round. Hell no. He's going top 50 minimum. That 50th is the like if he did some Laramie Tunsil shit. There's no shot he makes it out of the first round, in my opinion. But for Kayshon, having 11 guys ahead of him, or 10 guys, excuse me, that's not because Kayshawn isn't as good as them or better or etc. This is a off the field issues type of thing and injuries.
Well, you keep
that
saying
he dealt with.
so.
Yep.
For guys for someone like myself who
Well,
doesn't
let
know
me
anything
just-
about this dude, what's his off field issues?
He rolls with boss man fat.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
so-
I'm kidding.
So, here, let me, EJ. I did a shit ton of research for this, so I'll tell.
Yeah,
them
go
what
ahead.
Here we go,
happened.
baby.
So back when Georgia played LSU in Atlanta a couple months ago for the SEC championship, Kayshawn had a fantastic game, by the way. But anyways, there was reports, or not reports, but there was like rumors that there was a sex party and that
Jeez.
Kayshawn was involved, and that there was even like heavy rumors that LSU coaches were involved.
I thought
But,
that's just what college was in the States. Is it just a big
Yeah.
sex party?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's a big
Let me
town,
bang, bro.
No, but so those were the big rumors, and while that's cool and all, Kayshawn originally he said he's going to go back to LSU instead of declaring for the draft.
Right.
But then, like, not even a month later, out of nowhere, he's like, you know what, I am entering the draft, and everybody was like, did he just wake up one day
Fuck.
and change his mind?
That was
no,
his heel
because then
turn.
that came out. Yeah, those rumors
Yep.
came out, and then everybody's like, okay. And it also came out that he was dismissed, but that's a rumor. It's not confirmed by the coach or anything. It's just these are all rumors.
Of course, coach isn't talking. He just had a
I've
gang
heard-
bang with him.
Well, let me sell you on this guy a little bit real quick before I bash him.
Yeah.
My positives on him was he catches with his hands and only his hands.
Yeah.
Doesn't let it get into his pads, which is a big plus for me. If you get him in space, he has the speed and vision to make a play, works back to balls better than any receiver I've watched thus far, has nice speed and quickness to win at the next level, impressive catches on tape, but doesn't consistently catch contested balls. Very, very young,
Yeah.
20 years old, has potential to be a number one at the next level. 6
EJ.
foot, 205.
Could I just want to add one thing. Usually whenever guys are in high school and they run their 40 times, it's usually some shit like 4.6, and like it's super slow. Like it's very like obviously super slow for like NFL standards, obviously. But in terms of like what am I trying to? Okay, so in high school, Kayshawn ran a 4.37 apparently.
Wow.
Obviously, there's all kinds of issues, but usually guys get realistic stuff like 4.6, 4.8s, and 4.9s. But he ran a 4.37. That's he has some serious breakaway speed.
Like that.
Yeah, he has some good speed. And then for my negatives,
Ooh.
I just put, for the hype, I thought he had a lot more drops than I'd like. And those are focus drops. They're not, he just needs to focus and catch the ball before he tries to make a play because he wants to be a playmaker.
Thinking about sex
he
parties,
does-
bro.
It's the sex parties, man.
He's in college.
I thought that he was good in space and he made plays, but I didn't really see him break a lot of tackles. Maybe that was the games I watched. I don't know. He had the
I
off the
think it
field
was.
problems. He had the off the field problems that Duffy was talking about. He also reportedly quit on his team a couple times, and they had to reel him back in and quit. Kind of was
I don't like
Yeah,
the
off
head
and on,
cases,
so-
man.
Yeah, I don't like that though. I mean,
Um,
sex parties are one thing, but
Quitting on
when
your
you-
team.
Look,
Putting on your
look,
team?
I'll come to your sex party, but like, I need you to just be cool. I
Look,
don't need you
he's-
freaking out.
We
and
don't need no
leaving and-
Antonio
yeah.
Brown.
No,
we
I
don't
don't-
need
yeah,
any Antonio Brown.
no, we
out
don't. We
there.
don't need you pulling out of your team. Like pull out of your sex parties. Come on, boy.
I mean, pull it up.
I do like
pull
his
it up
hi-
when the timer's
I do
right.
like his highlights though. His highlights.
yeah. Oh,
his
yeah.
You know, just watching.
The-
we're big highlight guys over here, and I'm sure any wide receiver could look
Yeah.
good in highlights. But he does look like he's got some wheels. I will say that.
the point of catching too with your hands. I like that as well. I think that's something that's like a big plus. And
Well, the negative where it would catch you with your hands, but
Mhm.
not dropping when those focus. Like, and we've seen our boy CeeDee Lamb a couple times. He's thinking about what he's going to do next. Drops a fucking ball,
Yep.
and now
Yep.
we don't need another one of those. But I'm right with Deffy on this one. I want to risk it.
Well, they're saying that he's good. They're saying he has good
Yep.
hands. He catches with his hands. He doesn't have
yeah,
that issue.
But he's
He has
no,
good
Oh,
hands,
but he has
those
drops.
focus
Oh, he has. Oh,
drops.
now I'm seeing what you're saying. I got a question. So, Deffy's pet project is Booty, right? Booty at the wide receiver. EJ, who realistically, out of all the guys, and it doesn't have to be the first, doesn't have to be the sixth. It can be who's the guy that you're looking at right now And if the Cowboys could get him either first or second, you think it would be a good grab?
Well, I'll say for the Cowboys, this guy's he's not going to be on our team. But he's one of my pet cats, which is Nathaniel Tank Dell out of Houston.
Great name,
he's only
too.
5'8", 163, and he's 23 years old. He's just a slot.
Is his actual name Tank?
Nickname, Nathaniel.
That's just a nickname.
Okay.
Never mind. My bad.
But yeah, I mean, this guy, he's explosive. He's a route runner. Led all receivers last year in yards at the college level and had 15 touchdowns. Super productive in the junior and senior years. Accelerates quick and precise. Nice ball tracking skills. Basically everything. I'm not going to go super in depth on this guy because I really don't think the Cowboys are going to get this guy. He's just too small, and he's a slot only. And I think that they want to keep CD in the slot.
Yeah, 155. That's tiny. That is very small.
Yeah.
No, well, 163, 5'8".
Fucking Draft Network. What is this garbage?
Hey, literally though, that is me.
That is you.
I'm 5'8".
We're gonna start.
Wow.
We're gonna start calling you Tank.
I'll take it.
Tank Johnson?
Tank Johnson over there.
One of my pet. This is my actual pet cat guy. That if we get kind of washed in the first round from these receivers, I really like Parker Washington out of Penn State. Have him ranked as my number 8 receiver. He's 5'10", 215, so he's thick. He's built like a running back, kind of, honestly. Only 20 years old, and I had a comp of him as Steve Smith. So he's gonna be he's gonna be nice. Yeah. He's gonna be catching a lot of balls, not afraid to lay out to grab the balls, sticky hands, good concentration on catches, ability to roll and run when the QB has a broken play. So he's good with helping QBs when they're out of the pocket, which I hope Dak can get out of the pocket more.
Yep.
Young player, a lot of raw talent, could really benefit behind some vets and learn some stuff. Really nice weight, like I had, and has break tackle ability to get extra yards. So I really liked him. I said one thing that I really didn't like about him was just he's not a blocker. And the other thing I noticed was this is just maybe because he's young. He's only 20 years old, but I noticed when he's going for slants, he'll tend to tip off the DB across from him because he's looking, trying to figure out, is the safety going to come up in the box? Is he going to hit me over the middle if I catch this? So he's looking over there before he even ever gets out of his release. So I wanted to see him clean that up. But overall, I thought that he was really good. And he's 20, he's raw, but he's got NFL size, and he can, as you're seeing on this video right now, he has punt return, kick return positives as well. So
do you guys think though, wide receiver, like, do you guys agree that wide receiver is a huge need? Like, should we target it first round?
Yeah.
Should we target it second? I agree. I also agree that if the right player falls in the first, I think you gotta add him to the arsenal of players. I would, if we get a player that the Cowboys to me have been very good at drafting wide receivers, and they've been very good at drafting. I think the Cowboys have actually been really good at drafting cornerbacks. So if we get either of those guys and the Cowboys see someone that they think they can work with, I'm going to trust who they pick personally.
EJ, Washington also has an injury history too, correct? Or am I thinking about somebody else?
I did not have that written down, but he definitely could.
Well, he also looks pretty
let me
spastic.
see.
So that he's not going to be all about those sex parties. So his off field game.
Go ahead and
right?
hey,
That's true.
Trevor Lohan, go ahead and do a Google search on that. And
Okay, so hang on. So you do Trevor Lohan. The only reason we're laughing about Trevor Lohan is Alex and I, and this is just a side story, and nothing to do with football. We made a film in a competition one year, and Alex's character was a Disney actor that was kidnapped by these anyways, his character's name was Trevor Lohan.
That's kind of funny.
And he starred in College Days.
Yes.
Legendary.
Yeah.
College days, baby.
That's exactly what it was.
Hey, that's some fucking folklore.
That is some
And
fucking
behind
folklore.
baseball.
That's
College days,
that's
baby.
college days.
But in the meantime, and thanks for bringing that. That's funny. In the meantime, I did find the
Sex
injury
parties?
here.
Oh, sorry.
It looks like an article written in November 2022 or November 22nd of 2022. I don't think it says what the injury was, but it was season ending.
Yeah,
So-
And
I'm
that's
seeing the
for
same thing.
that's for Washington.
That's
Yes.
for this guy, Parker Washington.
Because I remember reading into him, and it said that like he's a running back with the ball in his hands, and like he has he's great. Like I like Washington. Like he'd be awesome in like the third or fourth round, which is like where he's projected to go right now, right, EJ?
Hey, if he can get pushed down the board because of an injury, I'm all for it. Truthfully,
He's kind of like a Percy Harvin-esque player. That's what he kind of just.
but
looking
yeah,
at,
I
looking at
like
his-
him. Sorry, Anth, I
No,
like
just
him
looking
enough
at his highlights,
to
he looks
take
like
him.
he's got that Percy Harvin ability. Like you said, he's stocky and he's looks like a running back.
I gotta say though, there's something in me that just says like that is second on my list in terms of what I'm looking for in the wide receiver that we draft.
You just want your prototypical 6'4".
We need
200
it.
and
Okay,
so I kind of
CeeDee
agree.
Lamb needs that.
I kind of agree with you. Like,
and we need it sorry, Anth, but we need it in a guy who's ready to step on the field 23, 24.
I would like to see if we went a wide receiver, I'd like to see a guy that's kind of your prototypical outside wide receiver. Same as if we go for a corner, I'd like to see a guy who's not as much a slot corner as a true corner.
So I think here's a guy that you might like. That's going to be round 2, 3. That's a prototypical guy. His name is Puka Nacua out of BYU. He's
Great
my
name.
number 9. My number 9 wide receiver, 6'2", 205, only 21 years old. The intrigue with this guy is he's a little bit like Deebo Samuel. He takes snaps as a running back sometimes. He's very fast. A few of my positives right here is great along the sideline, shows concentration, awareness, body control, and the ability to have his lower half in sync with his upper half to get those feet down in bounds. Utilizes almost like a Deebo Samuel type for BYU, taking direct snaps, showing a willingness to help his team in whatever way possible. Not sure that he creates a ton of separation, but unlike the other guys that don't, he's strong enough that with his hands and strength overall to create outside of that by absorbing hits and getting yards after the catch. He can get over the top of defenses, show the ability to take a catch, to take a 3-yard catch and turn it into a 20-plus yard gain. Keeps his feet moving like a running back when he lowers his shoulders to gain extra yards. Possesses running back stiff arm, spin moves, etc. Good catch radius, good size for the next level, and high effort on blocks and willingness to block.
I like the blocking.
Yeah.
I like the blocking aspect of it. I'll say that much.
Do you think
He also had an awesome Senior Bowl. He got his name out there because of the Senior Bowl.
Do you guys think that with a guy like that though, and obviously, and regardless if he could take snaps like a running back, because I do like the idea of having a receiver that could play the Deebo Samuels type role, but with Kellen Moore not being our OC, do you think a guy like Mike McCarthy is going to want to call complicated plays? Like, how much does some of these like multi positional receivers factor into where the Cowboys are going with their offense this season?
I think absolutely. With the scheme that Mike McCarthy is called in the past, I think that they want to get the quick hitting routes first, and Kellen Moore likes the longer developing plays. So a guy like Puka Nacua could definitely come in there, used on little whip routes underneath drags, screen game, all those things. I think our screen game is going to take a huge leap with Mike McCarthy.
Oh yeah.
It can't be any worse than it was last
Dude,
year.
it can't be any worse than it's been since 2019 in general.
I can't even remember us running a successful screen last year off the top of my head.
Well, real quick, I think that's something that's interesting is with all of the qualities and all of the I'm sure everyone saw the statistics of Kellen Moore's career and where he ranked in terms of like points or yards in certain aspects, and it was all like a lot of it was top 5, right? And in some categories top 3. So that being said, his on paper work looked really well. But where I think we lacked was just in moments of execution with what we chose to do. And I wonder, I know this is totally, maybe this is derailing it, but I just wanted to, like, is that something that Mike McCarthy will do better? Or, is that just an issue with the players that were on the field?
You mean just kind of a disconnect a little bit between you don't know if the players, like some of the stuff that we were running was between the coaches and the players, or is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like Exactly. I mean, well, now
How vaped are you now?
now I'm
You're,
vape.
you're looking like you're feeling good.
I was just gonna say that if we draft this guy, there's no fucking way AJ's gonna know his name within like 3 or 4 fucking times. Like, I want us to draft him because AJ's gonna fuck his name up.
I want us
a
to
few
draft.
times.
I just want us to take him for that reason.
Exactly.
No, I
Could I?
Yeah, say it, Daffy.
Oh,
ahead.
my bad. So you were talking about like the offense under Kellen Moore, and I thought you were going to ask like how much of it he was responsible for in general, and I just
Let's go
wanted
with
to.
That's
that
exactly
sounds
what
like a
Alex
really
was
good-
saying.
That sounds like.
Oh
a-
shit! Okay, okay. So I was this, like you said, this is probably a little off topic, but so I obviously I love you guys stuff. Like I always watch you guys.
Mutual respect.
Yeah, and I remember after the playoff loss, I can't remember which one of you specifically, but one of you was like, "Dak's not the guy."
That was me.
That was Adam.
That was me.
That was Adam.
Yeah. So to add on to that, so obviously in the playoff game there was a lot of Dak miscues that were on Dak Prescott, but I feel like when you look at the past 3 seasons with under Kellen Moore, Dak Prescott made Kellen Moore look a lot better than he actually was.
Possible, very possible. Yep.
I
Mhm.
think it's very obviously the offense is the
I like
easiest
that way of
comparison to
looking at
make. The easiest comparison to make is this offense under Cooper Rush and under Dak Prescott, because obviously, like you mentioned, the offense is really mediocre in like crunch time. Not even mediocre; it's pretty dog shit in crunch time, like against Green Bay, against the Jaguars, whatever. And it kind of whenever it does turn up, it's when it's the Dak Prescott show and Dak Prescott's on fire, like against Philadelphia. And like I said, the Jaguars game sucked, but Dak, like the drive like where he scored a touchdown in the 4th quarter, that was him catching fire. That wasn't Kellen Moore calling a masterclass. That was him catching fire against Philly on Christmas Eve as well. So to answer your question, it's more Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb than it is Kellen Moore.
Which is great. That bodes well for us because if that's the case, getting some new, like obviously getting Kellen Moore out of there and getting a coach that's going to call the plays that has had a Super Bowl, I think it can only benefit. And to really take that offense and get it to the next level, I think drafting someone like a very talented wide receiver in the first 3 rounds is almost a must.
Yep.
Yeah, and
that's why I've been talking about Kayshawn so much. I'm sorry if I'm like bombarding with him, but I just love Kayshawn. I love Kayshawn.
You know what?
So do I.
Like
I'm a big
Adam's like
Kayshawn
Adam's a booty boy.
booty fan. I'm a booty boy.
The thing we like about it is when we hear other people get stoked on players, when we're gonna be watching the draft and drinking, when someone gets picked, now we have some sort of emotional response to that.
Oh yeah, I'm
you
so
know,
emotional.
opposed
It's
to
the only
way I can feel emotion. Because what we I'll give some secrets here. What we usually do, or what I've always done as a Cowboys fan, is I wait usually until they draft. Usually the first round I'll go through and find some players that I really like. Like a couple of years ago, I loved Micah. I loved Patrick Surtain. I liked Horn. Like there was a bunch of players I liked. But what I usually do is as soon as the Cowboys have their you know 7 to 12 picks, whatever it ends up being, I then go and I dive into that player like crazy, right? Like I watch everything about them. So this is a nice way of kind of. I used to be reverse engineering the players that got drafted. This year, there's going to be guys going off. I'm going to be like, oh, fuck, we talked about that guy. Oh, fuck, I kind of wish we got that guy. So this is a fun aspect for us.
And gentlemen, I get so emotionally attached to someone before I should. So the fact that I'm already emotionally attached to Booty is
Adam's already ordered an LSU Tigers jersey on Amazon as we were.
Yeah, 100%. It's already done. It's going to be here tomorrow. Amazon Prime, shout out, sponsor. Here we go, baby.
Well, EJ, why don't you take us through, say, the final 3 top picks of yours here for wide receiver?
And gentlemen, guess what? The best thing about this is we got months to keep doing.
Oh yeah,
this.
it's awesome.
And I can't wait when the free agency news comes up and someone's getting picked and it alters stuff. Like I can't wait to revisit this list.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna be doing a live draft party too. We're definitely gonna be live streaming the draft.
FNA we are.
FNA.
And you guys are both welcome, and we expect you to be on here. by the way.
I was about to ask, are we welcome?
Oh,
Or-
Definitely open. Well, you can't just have us three watching the TV, not knowing anything about any of the players that are getting picked.
Yeah, I should upload the raw footage when Anthony and I were at the draft this year, and Tyler Smith gets picked, and
I didn't even know who the fuck he was.
it's like Tyler.
That's not any. None of the guys that I was looking at.
And then he realizes that he needs to give some sort of reaction, so then we get reacted, and then we hop into.
I just dove into the crowd with the rest of the Cowboys fans and went absolutely ham.
Okay, sorry, boys.
No, just I'm just glad to do this so you guys can get the
it's awesome.
start bridging the gap and learn these players before it's they're on the team.
Yeah, I like it.
But another thing I just wanted to speak on real quick and just get my 2 cents in there is with the Dak not being the guy or being the guy, whatever. I think in today's day and age, we're going to start seeing either A, a quarterback is paid, or B, the quarterback's on the rookie contract and you surround weapons around him.
Yep.
And the way to, if you've already paid your quarterback, the only way to surround weapons is by drafting the weapons and getting them on those rookie contracts. So I'm glad that we're doing this. One of the other guys that. Well, sorry,
EJ,
Adam, go ahead.
EJ, I was going to say, like, so obviously, we up in here because we got to at times give some entertainment. In the moment, absolutely. I'm always going to back our team regardless. So, Dak and I talked about it. He called me up afterwards. Saw how frustrated I was. And I said, yo, Dak, you my guy. But we're stuck with him. Good or bad?
Easy.
Hey, listen, say that to him.
Dak called you and you told him we were stuck with him.
Listen, Dak's not listening to this right now because he's just I know he's not listening right now.
He's at a sex party.
He's at a sex. These sex parties are getting out of control.
They're getting so out of control. But the fact of the matter is next season I'm going to be wearing my number 4 jersey. I think that if whatever's not working for our quarterback, for whatever reason, regardless if Dak is excited or Dak had respect for Kellen Moore, it wasn't working. And because we have Dakota as our QB1, like, give him as much support and whatever our coaching staff or our owner thinks Dak Prescott needs. Fucking
not our owner.
Go get.
Sorry. I know all the nutritionists out there are saying
Did you give
Dak
him
does
enough
not need salt, so do not give him any salt. But anyways, sorry, EJ, you're up. Who's your
one
next?
last thing, because as we were talking,
that table, man.
No,
Holy
I just want to know if, like, would you guys be opposed instead of if there was a wide receiver not there that the Cowboys like, would you guys be opposed to possibly shipping a pick for a different player, like for a Hopkins, or I'm trying to think who else that we could trade for? Are you guys against that? Like, you saw it work for obviously the Raiders didn't have much success as a team, but Devontae Adams, crack if you got him, had a great season. Tyreek Hill had a great season. These are players that got gambled on and it paid off. Is that a thing that possibly could happen?
I'm down with trading, but only if we trade back. I don't. Yeah. It's unless we get like a Stephon Diggs type situation, which is just not going to happen. Well, I don't want to trade a first round pick for D-Hop. I would not trade.
Would you trade it for Diggs though?
Oh yeah, like I wouldn't think about it twice.
So that's what I mean. Like, is there a situation where we would trade for? It doesn't have to be D-Hop, but like I'm saying, if Diggs was available, would you? And obviously you gave your answer. You would take a run at him.
I think. For me, at least, I wouldn't trade for D-Hop for a first rounder. Just with his contract, he's already been paid and he's older.
Yeah.
But don't have any leverage either.
But going back to the Dak thing, and Adam saying we're stuck with him, I'm a Dak apologist. I love Dak, but if we want to draft a backup, I'm completely open to that.
I support that.
And
too.
honestly, I've got another black SEC quarterback like Dak was that I really, really like that I think that we can have later in these rounds. Hendon Hooker, which I'm excited to talk about a little bit later in a different show.
Absolutely.
Well, EJ, I will say this just on 100% the wide receiver category for me. If we can get, I would take a veteran on a 2-year deal because I do think that an issue that we can have is that we don't have that experience in some of these positions. So it's great looking at up and coming wideouts. But for the most part, I would love to be like Mama Bosa, and I would love to have a Stephon front and a Trayvon back jersey, like a double jersey. So I think aesthetically, that's what I want for my Cowboys.
What we can't have is a Jalen Tolbert, another Jalen Tolbert thing happen. We can't be I think a top 3 pick cannot be spending the whole season watching.
Yeah, that
Can I add
nuts.
on right here?
Yes,
that
please.
That is exactly why you do not draft. The Jalen Tolbert pick was supposed to be safe, but it was very conservative.
Small school, right?
Very conservative. That's why you need to, take a swing on a guy like Tank Dell, who EJ mentioned. I like Tank Dell, but the Cowboys are going to draft a midget. And that's another guy like Kayshawn. Tank Dell's issues are size, while Kayshawn's issues are
sex
like
parties.
things that don't even involve football. Yeah. But adding on to the Dak thing really, really quickly, I really wanted to add this. I don't like pretending like he needs a perfect situation around him. Like I don't like pretending like we have to baby him either,
right.
because he proved that he can be successful even with the garbage ass help around him. People love to throw around, oh, but he had 2 great running backs, an awesome offensive line, Dalton Schultz. Once you say Dalton Schultz, the conversation's over. If you're using if you're using Dalton Schultz as an argument for Dak's weapons, game over. Like you don't have shit to say.
Weapon.
And Michael Gallup, like I love MG so much, but you can't be using that as an argument.
Fair.
And the only quarterback who could have that success with that core is Patrick Mahomes, because he just won a Super Bowl with Markel Valdez-Scantling as his wide receiver too.
Yeah, fair.
And it's very and it's not like this season, whether people believe it or not, and Cowboys fans can bitch and moan all they want about Dak Prescott. Whether they believe it or not, this season is going to make Dak Prescott a better quarterback playing with less help around him. Because once he has that help around him, what do you think is going to happen, since he's used to playing with fucking Noah Brown?
He's
you know what I'm saying?
He's going to get better.
He's going to look even better. And that's the thing. He has flashed excellence with this cast. What's going to happen when he has actual help and not teams that disappear?
Yeah.
People like, oh, but he played so bad against the 49ers in the playoffs, and he had Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Okay, first of all, CeeDee Lamb didn't do shit that game, and that's one thing. But he was pressured 25 times. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I mean, I love that we kept on the Dak thing, because some of the stuff that I'm a very firm believer in. Specifically, we could say you're a professional athlete, you're paid all this money, you're supposed to be locked in these situations. Dak's coming off 3 years where injuries have really taken him out. So to say that doesn't play an effect on your psyche, and then 2. You brought it up, like you got Noah Brown, you got your wide receiver 1, a CeeDee Lamb, and even your safety blanket, Dalton, fucking unblock us already, Schultz, who volleyball these throws when he comes to it, and then the entire world blames QB1. Of course, Dak Prescott's going to look fidgety back there. Of course, Dak Prescott's going to second guess himself, and that's where we have issues. So the fact that he's been able to have those aggressive games where he's had solid fucking offense production.
Carrying.
That again, I agree. Guess what? I'm putting the Dak jersey back on. You're our guy, Dak. Woo!
All right, let's get.
I think another. Sorry, real quick,
hit us.
Trevor. Real quick, Trevor.
Trevor Lohan.
No, but real quick, I think that it's no coincidence that Dak broke his thumb and then he has the most interceptions in his career. Another thing is Brian Schottenheimer, new OC for the Cowboys. Best 3 years for Russell Wilson in his career with Brian Schottenheimer. They leaned on the run game. That's exactly what Dak needs. I expect Dak to be a lot better next year.
Yeah, because it was like when they leaned on the run game in Seattle with Schottenheimer, it still opened up. I think Russell Wilson had every year over 30 touchdowns. I think one year he had 40. So, I mean, it's almost like adding by, I don't even know what the saying is, but by sticking to the run, it's actually improving the passing, which you hear all the time.
Exactly.
People always bitch
And-
about him and say he didn't let Russ cook when that was exactly what
That's
he
what,
was
yeah,
doing.
that's all he
That's
did.
exactly what he did.
That's his stat.
When you-
I heard that and I went and looked at his stats
Yeah.
between 2018 and 2020
Well,
or
I
whatever
think
it
I
was. I was
sent
like,
you that.
"Holy-"
I think
Yeah,
I sent you
me
that
a
meme,
and
and it says right there, "Wouldn't let Russ cook," and I was like,
and the
Dude,
stats.
oh my god, that meme is such garbage.
It's
Yeah,
so
right?
bad.
right?
Oh,
You know
you
it.
break
know it.
down the entire thing, and it's like,
None
holy
of-
shit, he didn't do good with Sam Bradford. No
Yeah.
way. That's shocking.
It was
Truly.
Sam Bradford, and he had someone else that was just complete dog shit too, and I can't think of who it was.
Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez. He had
Sanchez.
Sanchez and Sam
Fuck.
Bradford. Like, what are we doing here?
I actually,
And when
I
we
actually
when we
do
talk
wanna-
about Russell Wilson, he like whether I wrote about this in my article, and like all the 50-year-old old head fucks were like freaking out in the comments. They were like, "Oh my, what do you mean?" Like, because I said Russell Wilson now Schottenheimer will have a quarterback who can actually read the middle of the field. That is a normal thing to say. Russell Wilson is like 5'10". He cannot see over his fucking center. And you want to know how look at Russell Wilson's stats against cover 2. Just cover 2, where you cover the sidelines and the middle of and you have to worry about the middle of the field. He's garbage.
I mean, we know those stats, but tell us a little about those, just for the listeners.
I don't
listeners in the
have
chat
the
are
exact stats. I don't have the exact stats on hand, but I do. I could. It's somewhere deep in my camera roll.
It's
the
just
passing-
he's bad.
Was it?
That,
It was
long story
bad,
short,
obviously.
there's a PFF passing chart where like the blue parts are really bad and the red parts are really good, and he had blue all over deep and the sidelines, but once it got to the middle, just pure red.
Can't see shit.
So yeah, I mean he's short. That's not his fault. That's why guys like Kyler Murray struggle, and why
Right.
guys like
Yeah.
Bryce Young are going to struggle. And I mean everybody's drooling over Bryce Young, but he's fucking 5'9". Like really,
Yep.
are we really going to do this? Sorry.
Careful though.
Anyways, you guys can go now.
Okay, sorry. Go
Sorry.
ahead,
off on the tangent.
EJ.
Okay.
Let's get those.
Let's get a final
rosters.
take on some of these CBs, and then we're gonna
No,
call it
wide receivers.
Sorry, wide receiver.
Are you fucking vape now? Like, what's going on here,
I'm
dog?
high by association.
These guys are vape 100 right now.
Yeah.
No, but one of these guys that I thought that, since we're talking about more prototypical guys, that I actually liked was A.T. Perry out of Wake Forest. This dude's 6'3", 195, a little bit older. He's 23, but he has a good work ethic. He impressed in the interview process at the Shrine Bowl or Senior Bowl. I can't remember which one he went to. I think it was the Shrine. He's good on comebacks and curls. For such a big guy, he has a little bit of wiggle to his game. Typical X can win on the outside, wins against press man coverage due to size and strength of position, gets up to speed pretty quickly for such a lengthy guy, and he works well along the sidelines. So I actually liked him kind of like a Michael Gallup. Obviously a younger Michael Gallup without the ACL. But this guy I actually liked quite a bit. I thought that their system, so right there in that play, you can see Purdue does this weird thing with their running back. It's like a QB option where both the running back and the quarterback both have the ball at
and
the
they
same
just
time.
both
And
kind
look-
of stand there.
and I hated
That's
that, watching
weird.
that. So I could not get an evaluation on his blocking because he doesn't want to get a penalty because of that. So he can't
Yeah,
initiate
they're
the
doing
blocks
it again
before-
there. Yeah, they did it there
Exactly.
again.
It's so annoying to watch this. And so I actually think that was a negative for him, because a lot of the time he can't initiate blocks as he wants to. So I didn't really get a blocking plus or minus on him, but I actually really like this guy. He's a little bit older, but he can win on the outside. So we can keep CD in the
When
slot.
they do that stupid thing, it looks like the video game's lagging out or something.
Yeah.
It's like hand
Exactly.
it off already or throw it.
the age thing to me for the Cowboys right now is not a big deal. In fact, I think it's a kind of positive, because we want someone who's a little bit more in their adult body. And I think that pays off, because I don't think we can draft a player in the first 3 rounds who isn't ready to come on and challenge for a starting
Something.
role.
Yeah, something. Like,
Only
need
because-
need
I was
play
looking-
time. Sorry, go ahead.
You guys can go ahead. I keep interrupting. I'm sorry.
don't-
I'm
No,
a
no,
fucking
it's fine.
terrible
Yeah,
fucking.
You're
No, no,
allowed
no.
to do
The
this.
only thing-
We honestly don't even notice.
The only thing I was
I'm a
gonna
terrible
say,
fucking guest.
No.
absolutely not, man. It's the stupid. I won't slag the.
Do you fucking talk about the technology
no,
here?
no,
I
I
will
won't.
drop your ass.
But all I was. Go ahead and say what you were gonna say.
I was looking. So we're obviously talking about AT Perry. I was looking at all the So on PFF, you can look at the statistics for the guys who their draft years 2023, 2024. And I was looking at the guys this year, obviously, because I don't give a fuck about 2024.
Right.
And so while I was looking at it, I looked at the yards after contact or yards after catch per attempt, and there's a way to do it first and then dead last. And AT Perry was dead last in yards after contact per attempt. So I really don't the Michael Gallup comparison is really good. He's probably a way faster Michael Gallup. But I don't think we need another Michael Gallup.
No,
in my opinion.
I agree.
You think he doesn't have any breakaway? It's basically he's going to catch the ball, and as soon as he gets touched, he's down.
He's a speed demon, like EJ was talking about. He's great. He's going to win on the outside, but in terms of yards after contact and he's not gonna break 2 tackles or 3 tackles and house it. If he houses it, it's some shit Dak throws a beautiful deep ball. He catches it at the 50-yard line and outruns everyone. And you could say a diet Jalen Hyatt almost.
Right.
I feel like that's fair.
I think one point just to point this out, and I do agree with Duffy on this, but because of that stupid little thing that they do with the running back, it pulls the safeties up, so they're in the middle of the field where he's catching a lot of his targets, and then the safety's right there to tackle him. So it does. I mean, yes, I see what you're saying, but it also at the same time, it's kind of a system thing. So I think that this guy is pretty good.
They're doing it again. That drives me nuts.
They do it every.
That shit does drive me nuts. I couldn't even.
I know it's super annoying, and so see how it pulls up guys that would be at further deep in the secondary, pulls them up because they think it's a run play.
Does it work?
But
Is the quarterback just not good enough at making a read quick? It just seems
you know what's weird? You know what's weird? Here's a fun fact: is that quarterback was actually on the Netflix series QB1, and now he's starting at Wake Forest. He was a small little dude on QB1, but I think he's a decent quarterback. I haven't really studied him or anything. I don't even know if he's draft eligible.
He transferred to Notre Dame, I believe.
Crazy.
If that's the same guy.
This year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or he after this season, I believe. If that's the same guy.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, but anyway, so I think he's a good quarterback. I have no idea because I haven't watched enough Wake Forest ball to actually understand if that's something that is just an offensive coordinator's scheme and what he likes to do, or if it's something that's just a Wake Forest deal. That's just been like that for the age of time with Wake Forest. I have no idea, but he was a guy that's more prototypical, so we can keep CD in the slot.
I think that's the key for me personally. If I'm picking a wide receiver, I don't want it to be a slot guy personally.
And I'll tell you,
that's the thing. If you don't want it to be a slot guy, you're gonna hate this draft.
Yeah, they're all slot guys.
Sucks.
Yeah.
If you don't want it, that's why I'm talking about Kayshawn, because Kayshawn played a bunch of snaps in the slot, but his problem was there was a bunch of shit about the quarterback not being good and the LSU misusing him, obviously. So that's where a lot of the frustration from him came from, which I understand, because if you're getting 10 targets a game your previous 2 seasons and then it drops to 3 or 4, it's gonna piss you off when you're trying to go top 15 in the draft.
Yep.
But outside of week 1, he was missed on a touchdown against FSU, and you could tell he pouted a little bit. But after that, I mean, I didn't hear anything, EJ. I don't know if you did, but I didn't hear anything bad come of it. And he just kind of put his head down and run blocked all day.
I don't know. Another thing on just Kayshawn is that he has some problem with his ankles too, that have been injury concern issues. So I wonder if those ankles are going to check out when he gets to the combine and they're all good, because that's an essential part for a wide receiver, getting in and out of breaks and being a precise route runner. So that's something to watch for in the future. The next guy though that I think has some potential to be an outside player. It's Jaden Reed. He was at the Senior Bowl. He shredded dudes at the Senior Bowl. Michigan State. He's 5'11", 191. So not big, but I think that he has enough route running ability that he can win on the outside, in my opinion. Really good at hand fighting with DBs on long balls, keeping them occupied. So he's not raising his hands too early, tipping off DBs to get their hands up. He's always really, really nice at that. Good catch, good after the catch vision, and exhibits speed over the middle. Quick feet, lateral quickness, overall route running ability is great. Willingness to catch over the middle, even if he knows he'll take a hit, which I love because Dak loves to throw over the middle. Very competitive guy who wants to win. And he was also in a system in Michigan State, which had Kenneth Walker there last year. So they were really run heavy. And that system is run heavy, honestly. That's just how they run. So he's not getting as many chances as these other guys. He had a lot better 2021 tape than 2022, and that's just because of the quarterback there. But I really did like the guy.
Yeah, he's got some wheels.
And-
He definitely has some wheels and some run after the catch, which is nice to see.
I think he's going to go in the third round. He's 23 years old, so he's a little bit on the older side. But that also with the old guys, they have a little bit more maturity to them as well. So, but yeah, I really like him.
also got that
and I think that
man
he's going to win
bod.
outside. Truthfully, the next guy, and this guy has been heavily linked to the Cowboys, is Rashee Rice out of SMU.
Yeah, I've heard his
6'2",
name.
203, 22 pounds, or 22 years old.
22 pounds. I mean, I don't know about this guy.
No, not 22 pounds. 22
is a
years
Baker
old. His positives is what I said. Strong hands, spectacular catch element to his games. Comes back to balls and can make up for inaccurate throws with a nice catch radius. Strong player in general, contested catch specialist. Catches well over his shoulders. Willing blocker, probably the best blocker out of this wide receiver class. He loves to get physical with DBs. Doesn't drop passes. Nice concentration on all of his catches. Really, really impressive blocker. And I can't say this enough. I had to write that twice because he just impressed me so much with blocking. Extremely competitive. And he showed production and improvement in all 4 years at SMU. The negatives with this guy, though, and that's why I don't necessarily like this guy for the Cowboys, is I don't think that he creates separation.
Yeah.
He had problems at the Senior Bowl with getting off of press man coverage. And in both of the games that I watched, which was Houston and UCF, he had fumbles in each of the games. So I don't know if that's a problem or if that's just two bad games that I watched. Not necessarily, he doesn't necessarily have the elusiveness to his game. But I like him if we can get him. Like if he was a third, fourth round guy, I would actually like him because I think that he has that chip on his shoulder. He has that moxie where
he put up some stats too. Like he had, looking at his stats here, 96 receptions, 1,355 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Like he definitely, for a guy that you're saying that's also very good at blocking. Like when you hear when you hear someone's big and good at blocking, and then you look at his stats, 96 receptions and almost 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns. That's a great year.
He was heavily used in the SMU system. He was their guy, and everybody knew that he was going to get the ball, and he still produced. So I like that. Now that is in the AAC, which isn't the greatest conference for football. But I did like him as far as contested catches and stuff like that. And one thing, like you can see right there, he does sit in zones pretty well. But that's just as a result of more of what the defense is playing than him necessarily getting open. But he's a smart player. He has IQ. He blocks really well. I like all those things, especially if we don't re-sign Noah Brown. If we can get him in the third or fourth round and he can be just a super solid blocker and we can use him for, go up and get it kind of balls and stuff like that.
I like the size. The size is I'm liking it. Sign me up with Rashee Rice. I'm a Rashee Rice guy.
I've actually spoken to Rashee Rice before.
Is he a good dude?
Yeah, he's great. He wants to be on the Cowboys. There's a picture. I privately talked to him in DMs, and there's a picture of him with Dak. Like they were training a few weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
There we go,
you got my pet cat. I'm a Rashee Rice guy. You got the Booty Boys, and then EJ, who's your pet cat? You liked
Parker?
You like
Washington.
Parker and Washington.
Oh, yes. Washington is my pet cat, but my number one pet cat has got to be Jordan Addison. But I think that
I
he's
love
go.
Jordan Addison. Yeah, he's not. There's no chance in hell he's gonna make it to 26.
I think that how we did the.
They're saying between him and.
You know how we did the Eagles with CD.
Yeah,
I think that the Giants are gonna do that with Addison to us.
Is it pretty close? Is it pretty close between Johnson and Addison for like 1A and 1B for who's the better wide receiver, or is it like
Well, here's one thing
not to
I'll
me.
say.
not to you? No.
For me,
I think
here's
Addison's
the
better,
one
but
thing I will
Johnston's all
say.
the traits.
Addison is much more polished as a receiver. He's produced at 2 programs, Pitt and USC. With that, though, he's had 2 likely first-round QBs throwing in the ball in Kenny Pickett and Caleb Williams. It will probably be a first-round pick next year. So you gotta bring that in a little bit. I also think in Quentin Johnston's film studies, Max Duggan, the TCU quarterback, missed him dealing with pressure and stuff like that on a lot of plays where he was just running wide open. He could have had the ball. He could have had 1,500 yards or whatever this season. Like he's got all the traits. The one thing, so I can read my notes on him really quickly. Let me find it. My negatives on him was he doesn't always extend his arms into the catch and lets the balls into his pads, especially if it's not over the top of his shoulders. On running plays, he doesn't sell routes and hardly initiates contact if he's not required. For his size, I'd consider him an average at best blocker. Doesn't see much combination of routes, although the ones that he does run are good. Doesn't seem to deal with a lot of press coverage when he didn't get out of his press as quick as you'd expect, and he didn't get it out of his press as quickly as you'd expect. And he didn't separate as much as I'd like on actual like routes, like goes and slants, like where he has to make one cut, he separates.
Right.
But on actual routes that requires a little bit more nuance, he doesn't separate as much as I'd like. But like I said, he's 6'4", 215. He's only 21 years old.
I like
he's
it.
played in a program. He played
Big
in the
boy.
playoffs. He's got some juice to his game, and I would not be surprised if he was the best receiver out of this class if he gets into the right system. He reminds me a lot of a DK Metcalf, which a lot of people were super high on, and then they kind of got low on. They were like, well, I don't know if he really does anything super great other than his elite physical tools. And then you can see what DK does now. He's just a force. Obviously, DK is stacked like a freaking tank compared to him. He's
Great
not
abs.
slender.
Great abs.
But this guy, he reminds me of that. But also, he can be a what was his name? A White that Chicago took so many years ago. I mean, just he could be an outlier as far as that. He can be either a number 1 or he's a number 4 sitting on the bench most of the time. So we'll see what he does.
All right, so we're gonna get out of here with one last final thing. Out of everyone we've looked for, or out at today, the wide receivers and the cornerbacks, each of you guys gets to pick one guy you're taking with 26. So we know that you got some players that you like at cornerback. We know that you have some you like at wide receiver. But if you came down to any of these players that are realistically going to be there, who would you guys go with?
Well, realistically, let's just say that Addison is off the board, Johnson is off the board, Johnston, and Jackson Smith and Jigba is off the board. Let's just say those 3 for right now. And then of the corners, let's just say Witherspoon, Gonzalez, Joey Porter Jr. is off the board.
Okay. So who you guys taking? If those top 3 players from the positions are gone, who you going with?
I'm letting my nuts hang and drafting Kayshon Boutte.
You had to.
Hey, not
The
you.
Booty
We.
boy.
Yeah,
Deffy and I, we had to do it. We had to draft Booty.
I'm gonna go with a kind of a player you guys aren't expecting, but I'm gonna go with Eli Ricks out of Alabama.
Okay.
Pair him with Diggs, 2 Alabama boys,
You got
only
the bat?
21 years old, 6'2",
That's bold.
190. And he has that dog in him. He's competitive. I think that he's gonna only get better at the next, the next level, and he can be a pick kind of like a last year for us with the kid out of Tulsa, Tyler Smith.
So
where
you
he's
got
a lot of traits.
So you got the Booty
Younger guy,
boys and
but-
you got the Bama boys.
Yeah.
AJ, who are you going with?
Oh shoot, man! I think I really like what I heard about A.T. Perry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
That's
going.
just-
That's who you're going with.
Perry's going to be a day 3 pick, I think. Or like a day 2 pick.
Yeah, day 3.
There you go,
I'm thinking day
AJ.
3. So you're gonna. Hey, AJ is reaching.
Hey, this is awesome. This is great. You better be writing these. You better be writing this down in your notes over there. You
I'll
better.
get to it.
You better be writing down who you're taking. We're keeping receipts on you.
You're taking
ATT.
You're taking Rick's?
No, I'm taking Cam Smith. If I
This
had
is
to
why
pick
I
anyone,
learn about it. Sorry.
I'm taking Cam Smith. I like
Smith, okay.
I like his
Listen,
physicality.
listen,
Smith is
Cam,
a good pick.
I get where Ant's coming from because
Wait, that's a
Cam
CB.
Smith is easily the safe pick. Like that's super safe.
That's
But
not a good pick, then.
in terms of like if you want to go safe, it's Cam Smith. But if you wanna gamble, it's K-Shawn. Sorry.
Okay, guys,
K-Shawn isn't gonna. I don't think he's gonna make it round 2, but we'll see what happens.
well, I like that we have these because we can go back after and see. Like, it's always fun to have stuff
yes.
actually on record of us saying, well, I'm gonna, guys, give yourself a shout out, your socials, where people can find you. Deffy, if you want to go first and just shout out your social and what you're doing on the side.
So I have Deffy Talks Cowboys on Instagram and Deffy Talk Cowboys on Twitter. No S because Twitter only lets you have like 16 letters or some bullshit. I don't know why. But anyways, I also write for Blogging the Boys. I drop an article there once a week if you guys want to check that out every once in a while. I have my name listed as Deffy Talks Cowboys, so you'd be able to tell. So yeah, and I'm really curious to hear EJ's stuff because I'm gonna follow EJ. EJ knows what he's talking about,
Oh, yeah,
and
he
he's
does.
a Dak Prescott apologist. So I will fucking take it.
And then EJ, give a shout out. Where can people find you, man?
Yeah, they can just find me on Twitter, ehankins1225. And I don't have a YouTube or really focus on this stuff. I just do it for fun because I'm a super fan. as they say,
you
but
do have a YouTube. You're a fucking Cowboy Can fan day one. Like
That's true.
If
That's
you
true.
want to find EJ Savage, he's fucking mobbing it up in the chat all the time, going at it, fighting drunk people on post calls.
Yep.
Like EJ Savage is day one.
All right, guys, we appreciate you guys coming on. It was a blast, like I said earlier in the episode. It's awesome for us to get to see some other people's opinions on this kind of stuff. And you guys are welcome on the show at any time. For the bandwagon booty boys, whatever the hell you guys are going by
Booty
over
baby.
there,
Booty baby.
and Ant Best over here. We will be back next week.
We out.
We outside.